Rushanara Ali for the government with us this morning. Minister, we have to start with a lot of the front pages this morning. The Mirror saying we have been betrayed. The Daily Express saying Labour has betrayed our OAPs time after time. And the Daily Mail, betrayal that proves Labour cynically said anything to get elected. And the Times, Labour MPs rebel over new blow to pensioners. What can you say to those women this morning?
Well, first of all, this is, of course, a very difficult decision. Liz Kendall yesterday, on behalf of the government, apologised for the delay that was referred to in the report, the 28-month delay in letters that were sent to Waspi women. But the situation is that in terms of the compensation, it would be up to some £10 billion, which we don't feel is fair or proportionate in terms of the use of public money, given that some 90% of those affected, according to the Ombudsman's report, it would not have made a difference in terms of the delay in the letters. But the reality is this has been a very difficult issue for those affected, and it's deeply regrettable, and lessons will need to be learnt. Liz Kendall has set out in the statement yesterday and apologised on behalf of the government.
Yeah.
And in terms of what we're doing more broadly, the triple lock means that there'll be £30 billion to pensioners in this Parliament.
Who do you think middle-class women of a certain age would find more offensive right now, Greg Wallace or Keir Starmer?
Well, look, our focus is making sure we fix the foundations. We inherited a mess. We inherited a mess. What we are focused on, we are focused on making sure that people are better off, including pensioners. And that means the £30 billion in terms of the triple lock that will help pensioners, and the other investment that will benefit pensioners, including investment in the NHS.
Talking about Waspi women, Minister, do you think, or let me put it this way, do you agree with the Prime Minister and the Work and Pensions Secretary that women affected by changes with the retirement age shouldn't be compensated? Do you think that's the right decision?
The changes were made under the coalition government. And Liz Kendall has apologised on behalf of the government.
Back in 2019, your party promised a £58 billion package of compensation for these women. Why has the position changed so much from £58 billion to zip?
Well, if you look at the Ombudsman's report, it's very clear in terms of the fact that 9 out of 10 women would not have made a difference in terms of the letters being received. And the focus is on how we use public money, and we don't believe that £10 billion, up to £10 billion in terms of compensation, would be a fair and proportionate response.
And as I
say, our focus is in tackling the cost of living crisis, improving living conditions.
For everybody.
That includes pensioners and Waspi women. And the investment we're putting in the NHS, in the public services, as well as the support. Broader support to fix the foundations is about helping pensioners.
Right, can I ask you a question? Liz Kendall has been pictured with Waspi campaign promising to deliver a fair solution, as has Rachel Reeves, as has Keir Starmer. Can you understand why people don't believe a word you say?
Well, look, I go back to the point about the lessons that need to be learnt and the fact that this government has apologised for that delay, but we've got to focus on the issues at hand in terms of improving the living standards of pensioners, and that's why the triple lock is critical. That's £30 billion of investment. People will be £1,400 better off in this Parliament. And this government is committed to improving
Let me give you this. Back in 2022, the now Prime Minister said, this is a real injustice. That's why there's been a big campaign about it. It's not just that the age has changed to 67. All your working life, you've got in mind the date on which you can retire and get your pension. And just as you get towards it, the goalposts are moved and you don't get it. And that is a real injustice. That's what he said 2 years ago.
Yeah, and the Ombudsman has reported, and we accept the findings in relation to maladministration. And we
the
must
Ombudsman said they should get at least some recompense. That's what the Ombudsman said.
This government, based on also the point I made about the 9 out of 10 would not.
The Ombudsman said they should get between
£1,000
and £2,950.
Well, as I say, I refer back to Liz.
Well, you've been quoting the Ombudsman to me. Now I'm quoting what he said, they have said, and because you don't like it, you're dismissing it.
Well, these are difficult judgment calls, and of course, this is a very sensitive situation, very complex.
Back in 2019, Angela Rayner said, this is their money, they've had it stolen off them. Any government would act responsibly to these women. So are you an irresponsible government?
No, absolutely not. As I say, we are focused on rebuilding our economy after the mess the last government left behind. We are focused on improving living standards and improving the circumstances of pensioners, as well as people across our country. And that means investing our policing, which provides the security people need, including pensioners, investing in our health service. There's a big agenda. And today we are making an announcement in relation to homelessness, which is devastating people's lives. So there are a whole range of issues.
According to Angela Rayner, your Deputy Prime Minister, back in 2019, she said that any government would give these women their money, and she said that it's a moral responsibility. You're acting irresponsibly if you don't give it to them.
Well, look, as I say, we have to learn the lessons. We have to make sure that communication, where there's the 28-month delay in terms of letters that went to these women who are affected, that is unacceptable.
No,
and we need to make sure that lessons are learned.
I've quoted you, Angela Rayner. I've quoted you, the Prime Minister. I've quoted you, Liz Kendall. I've shown you the Chancellor posing with these women because you thought that you would get their vote. And you probably did, because you promised them you were going to give them this money, and now you've pulled the rug from under them. How can that possibly be acceptable?
Absolutely, we are focused on improving the living standards of pensioners, including Waspi women, and that's what we are focused on in terms of investment in our economy, ensuring that our NHS delivers for
all the papers are saying you've betrayed these women just to get elected.
Well, I don't accept that.
How can you not accept it? You promised one thing and now you've taken it off them. How can you not accept it? Which bit of that is incorrect?
We are focused on, as I say, making sure we invest in our economy, we grow our economy, we tackle the NHS crisis, which particularly those who are older in our society, pensioners, rely on the National Health Service. We've seen a devastation of our public services, and we must rebuild those services. We must fix those foundations.
This country has been built on the shoulders of these women who worked for most of their lives. They were made a promise time and time again by your government before you got into power, and now you've literally said, nah, sorry, no, it's not happening.
I don't accept that.
Like,
there are, as I say, we have accepted that the Work and Pensions Secretary has apologised on behalf of the government in relation to letters not going out. That is completely unacceptable, and lessons need to be learnt for the future. And I absolutely understand this is really, really difficult, but we will need to make sure that these things don't happen.
It's not a good day for your government, Minister. Can you tell me about your plans to prevent and tackle homelessness?
Well, look, what we've inherited is a homelessness crisis, a housing crisis. We've got 160,000 children who are living in temporary accommodation. And we are determined to put the investment in to make sure we prevent people going into temporary accommodation, becoming homeless. And that means getting more support to local authorities, getting support to charities and other organisations, partner organisations that are absolutely vital ahead of this Christmas. We need to make sure that support is provided to tackle winter pressures. That's why I've already announced £10 million to help those who are sleeping rough. We need to provide wraparound support in terms of treatment, where there are alcohol and drug-related issues, women fleeing violence and other groups fleeing violence who need safe accommodation. There are complex issues affecting those who are sleeping rough, as well as those who are facing homelessness. There's also, what we need to do is make sure there is more affordable housing and social housing, and that's why the Chancellor announced £500 million so that we can get 5,000 homes to be made available as quickly as possible. This funding is about making sure, and it's a record amount of investment for the next year, making sure we provide the help people need and local authorities need to bring down the number of people who are in temporary accommodation and children who are really suffering.
OK, thanks, Minister. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.